Hey guys, what's going on? We got another Mythic Plus video here today, and we're doing a plus 21 Black Rook Hold. Um, I was very fortunate with this group. I pugged into these guys, and this prop warrior was quite insane. The Resto Shaman was good, and BM, as always, is kind of broken. And the Feral obviously did quite a lot of damage, and we worked pretty well together as a team, and it went very, very smoothly. But as the other keys, I'll go through the mechanics, affixes, and explain them on the way. Hopefully you enjoy. So let's get started. The affixes for this key are tyrannical, entangling, and bursting. Basically, bosses deal a heck of a lot of damage. Entangling is a green circle around you that you have to get out of before the timer runs out or you get stunned, and you're slightly slowed during it. And bursting is every time a unit dies. They deal AoE damage to everybody, stacking. So if you have like 0.5 seconds left on it, try not to kill something because it will roll it over, as you will see later on. But yeah, so this first pack here, there's ghost guys that do a soul blast that you want to interrupt. There's a guardian that does like a sacrifice soul that you want to focus down. Uh, that will cause everything around them to take reduced damage. And this big lady here, she does a frontal, so you don't want to stand with a tank. And then she also does like a glaive slash or something that puts a dot on people that healers have to dispel. But that first area is usually a slight problem for some groups, but it's usually not too bad. On to the first boss here, we got Amalgam of Souls. So this guy has a few mechanics, very, very simple. One is going to be on the tank. Basically, it's a massive frontal cleave, so if you move them towards one wall, you basically reduce the area effect of the cleave because it is like half the arena. This soul echoes. Basically, he's going to put that on somebody, and you can see the little swirlies in the right there going around the shaman. If you stand in those, you will get feared and take a lot of damage, so you just slowly sidestep them and move along your way, and you won't have to worry about it. Then you got the soul scythe. Basically, they're just tornadoes spinning on the ground. If you touch them, I think you get knocked back and take damage, so be careful on that. But the big thing is that soul echoes, basically you don't want to get hit by that and you want to make sure you keep it away from your team. If you get it in melee, it kind of sucks because you do have to move away from the boss. But into the intermission phase, he only does this once. He's going to spawn, I think it's 8 souls around the room. You have to kill them before they get to him, or his explosion that happens right after this will deal increased damage, which you do not want. So you can root, slow, stun, whatever, grip, anything, just don't let them get to the boss. It is very important because the AoE definitely hurts, as you will find out in 1 second. So this is where you want to use any form of defensive or AoE defensive, like anti-magic zone. So even with my wall up, it still did half my health. So you can see it does quite a lot of damage, and you really want to prevent any of those souls because I think they're like a 10% increased damage to that. So yeah, but after that, he repeats the same phase, and then you have to wait 20 minutes for the door to open. So yeah, but instead of talking about the boss while we wait, enhancements feeling really, really good. I haven't tested the storm build out yet in Mythic Plus. I've been meaning to do that. I'll probably do it next week during the fortified week. I might get a key in this week with it, but I've mainly just been focusing on getting my portals. And honestly, Elementalist has been quite fun with the amount of cooldown reduction going on. So you always have a Feral Spirit up, you always have Primordial Wave up. It's quite nice. Um, there's really no downtime in this build anymore. Like even like there wasn't really any before, but now it's like so much faster. But you still are squishy, so be wary of that. Um, that's the main thing. I've also been playing a bit of Elemental, which has been a lot of fun. It's you're back to the fire build, so that's definitely a blast to play. and I've been enjoying both of those. So I've been working on getting both my IO up with LE and Enhance and a little bit of Resto. But on to the next trash mobs. We got the spiders. This is a scary room for tanks and DPS at the same. You'll see me, I think I pull a bit of aggro here. And basically every time one of these spiders auto attacks you, it puts a magic dot on you, stacking infinitely, and it ticks a lot. As you can see, I wall and I'm still taking a significant amount of damage. And yeah, so this big guy does the same thing. Basically, he's the only one here, and you just focus him down. The tank's going to pull him into the next pack because he's really kind of irrelevant. Oh, I thought he pulled him in. He's waiting a bit to die. This key was done a couple days ago, so. um, but onto this next pack. So we got here is a arcane minion there. He's going to do an AoE explosion and teleport. Just kind of prevent him from teleporting or anything like that. I'm not sure what his targeting thing is anymore because it seems to change. Then you have the Arcanist, which you want to interrupt the Arcane Blast. You have a Scout who's going to do a knife dance. You want to interrupt that with a knock up or a stun of any sort. It's very important. It does massive AoE damage. And then you have the archer that will jump around the room and shoot random targets. They also do a barrage, which you can interrupt with a knock-up or a stun like the knife dance. So these champions just drew a frontal cone on the tank, so your tank's just got to be wary of where he's aiming at, and you have to be wary of where your tank is. Very important. Same thing with this pack. This dungeon, I think it's on the easier side. Aside from bosses, trash in here is quite simple. You have 1 unit to kick and 2 units to interrupt and stuff. I think the hardest part about this dungeon is the pack size. Bursting is definitely an annoying part in this dungeon. Same with Everbloom. There's just the packs are so large. It's just quite annoying for healers. But aside from that, it's very, very simple. There's a couple of boss mechanics where you like the first boss, you have to use your defensive there or you will die. The last boss is the same. But yeah. This dungeon's very simple, straightforward. They recently nerfed the sick bats, which is coming up, so it only sends 4 bats at you and not all the bats. So it's quite interesting. Beforehand, it was kind of funny. But here, basically, once you kill this pack, you want to hide behind this pillar to our right, as you can see, or left now. The reason for that is there are going to be 4 or 5 units that drop down. A bunch of them are going to be ranged, and it just makes it super easy for them to get in here. You don't have to LOS grip or anything, especially when you don't have a Death Knight or a Vengeance Demon Hunter. But I don't think they run Binding Sigil, so yeah. This dungeon is super easy. It's definitely one of the easier ones. The boss mechanics are pretty easy. You can bug a bit of them, but other than that, yeah, this is definitely on the easier list. The packs don't change all that much, to be honest. Usually when you do Everbloom, like, the packs do change slightly, but it's mainly just those mini lashers that are causing bursting. Outside of bursting week, I think most of these dungeons are going to be pretty simple. I think the hardest dungeon this week is I think it's probably Galakron's Fall or Rise. And I honestly don't even think those ones are that hard. I'm not sure. But yeah, we blasted through this and it was quite fun. Having a good team always makes a difference too. Uh the morning I did this key, I had a rough patch of keys, so bunch of I think I did like 3 or 4 failed ones, which sucked, but then we went on to a good streak. But on to Alysana Ravencrest. I cannot say words. Um, Basically, she's got a few mechanics here, nothing too difficult, but this brutal glaive will be targeted on one person, typically a ranged. Um, Basically, she's just gonna throw it, and it's gonna do a significant amount of damage and then bleed you. Then she's going to do this Fell Rush. And what that does is it puts a flame trail on the ground. Basically, if all three of you run to the wall, it's basically an irrelevant mechanic now. The biggest part of this is the glaive toss and this little intermission, the I-beams and the ads. So you want to kill the Arcanist, the Guardian or Vanguard, whatever his name is. You don't really have to worry too much about him. The tank will probably just face him away. But the Arcanist, you want to make sure you interrupt and blast them. And then you just cleave down the Vanguard. While she's doing this I-beam, she's going to be targeting typically one of the ranged. She does have a chance to target the melee. Basically, it's just going to make a trail on the ground that you have to run away from. Nothing too significantly difficult. She's a very easy boss. The mechanics are very simple. Nothing too crazy. There's no one-shot mechanic where you have to use your wall either. So it's basically just a burn boss, really. Just like the third boss too. Very simple. That one you just run out of room. We'll get to that when we get there. But yeah, all the bosses very simple, very easy. Nothing too difficult to do. I thought they were going to revamp most of these, but it seems that they just did damage adjustments. They really didn't do anything too crazy. Even Throne of Tides didn't get that big of a difference as what I thought it was going to. I thought they were going to do a total overhaul, but it looks like they were able to fix up a bunch of it. But I mean, this was a Mythic Plus back in Legion. Everbloom was a challenge mode back in Warlords. Uh, Throne of Tides was the only one that was out. But onto the staircase, basically boulders come down. Dodge the boulders. You will get one shot if you get hit. Very simple. There's no pattern to them either, so be wary of that. Faster you go, always make sure you're looking up at the stairs. But onto these little gremlins and the Wrathguard. The Wrathguard's going to do a tank buster, which you can stun. The little gremlin guys are going to do like a fire breath or a blade storm that'll knock you back. Nothing too difficult. The hardest part about this little hallway is the bursting, because there is a significant amount of ads, as you can see. But yeah, if you just stun their Vile thing, they won't cast their ability, so. But you'll see one grow. I think one gets like an enrage too, just attacks really fast. They're nothing too painful. Everything is usually targeted on the bot or the tank. The tornado is the only one that you have to watch for. It actually does a significant amount of damage. Um, but yeah, I mean, the hardest part about this dungeon is the bursting because of the tank size. Or the mob size, tank size. I'm messing everything up today. Oh my goodness. But yeah, you just use Thunderstorm, Static Totem to interrupt them, and that's it. The tank should be able to deal with the tank buster from the Wrath Guards. There's two coming up here in a second. But yeah, this hallway, very simple, very easy compared to the other ones. There's no interrupt mechanic or anything for the rest of the dungeon, so that's kind of nice. You don't have to worry about a cast going off or anything. If you have a Demon Hunter or a Beastmaster Hunter in your key, it definitely makes the key much easier because they just do so much damage. It's kind of crazy. Their uncapped AoE is unchallenged, really. But yeah, we have another falling rock hallway staircase thingy. So again, just watch where you're going. You don't have to go too fast. If you can do this really fast, that's a benefit, but you have to be very careful. If you get caught and hit a rock, you're dead. Kind of interesting. Some people hate it. I don't mind it because it's not that difficult to look up the stairs. But here is you used to have to pay a lot of attention to this part because the sick bats from these fell guards was a lot. It would send all of their bats to one target. Now it only sends 4 bats to one target, and that's it. So it's super, super easy to deal with or not deal with. You don't even have to deal with it because it's barely a mechanic anymore. Um, the only thing you have to watch for is they will cast something called, I think it's called Fell Frenzy or Feral Frenzy, something like that. Basically, it buffs the Wrath Guard or the Fell Guards, and they do ever increasing damage the more they cast. I've had them get up to, I think it was 4 or 5 stacks on my blood decay, and they were auto attacking for about a million and a half damage. So make sure you interrupt when you can. Yeah, it's Fell Frenzy. So I think we let a few go off here. There goes one. Oh no, here comes one. I could have interrupted, but I suck at this game. But the Prot Warrior isn't taking any damage. So as you can see, they have 2 stacks. Prot Warrior just doesn't care. So we just go, go, go. And then we're up to the second last boss. Smash Spite the Hateful. This is a very easy boss. There are three mechanics. First one is going to be his Hateful Charge. Basically, with this mechanic, you don't want to take a charge twice while you have the stack. If you get 1 stack, you take 500% increased damage from the next charge. So you have to pay attention for the most part of who has stacks and who doesn't. Now, if the charge goes on the person targeted, same thing. They get 1 stack. Make sure they don't have a stack before you go. The second mechanic is his Earth-Shattering Stomp, I think it is called. Basically, it's just massive AoE damage that will knock you back, so be wary. And the third mechanic is the lines of fell poison stuff on the ground. Basically, that is targeted from the bats outside the arena. If you can judge where they are, you can aim it pretty good and get it somewhere where it's not in the middle of the room. Um, Other than that, I don't think it disappears either, so eventually you will have the room covered in fell. So, yeah, there's not much you can do about it because it does do a full line. The only thing you can do is hope you judge correctly where the bat is. Is there a way to tell where the bats are? If you look up, you will be able to see them. Holy crap, that did a lot of damage. Um, Other than that, I think they might do a line every once in a while onto you, which you can judge where that's coming from. So, other than yeah, that's about it. But yeah, this guy's only got 3 mechanics. Technically, his fourth one is when his energy gets to full, and then he does a tank buster mechanic, which increases the tank's physical damage taken by 75%. Is it a big deal? Yeah. No, it doesn't do very much damage at all. And this boss doesn't do damage at all. The only thing that does damage is his earth shaking thing, his earth shaking stomp. So if you just ate a charge and you're not quite topped off, I'd use a wall or a defensive of any sort, because it does do a significant amount of damage as you saw. And here we have the Raven Guards, Risen Swordsman. Basically, they're going to do something called a Raven Dive and a Coup de Grace. The Raven Dive is an AoE jump and it stuns you if you are in the swirly. The Coup de Grace is a tank buster that happens, which doesn't actually do any tank damage, as what I found out. So it's very weak. Maybe it'll do something on fortified keys, hopefully. But other than that, it's just the Raven Dive you really have to watch for. You can interrupt it by knocking them up or stunning them. If you get hit by one, typically you will get hit by two, because they do cast it quite often together. And generally at the same time. As you can see, one goes, and then the coup de grace, and then the second one goes. And it's typically I think it's a 3-second stun on that. So yeah, just be quick to get out of it. It doesn't take long for them to cast it. So just as you can see, they just Swirly goes down, you move out, and they instantly jump. So you got to be pretty quick with the movement. But onto the last boss of the dungeon. Now, since we have 30 seconds on Bloodlust, I typically like to Bloodlust the first phase because I find it's when you take the most damage, and the second phase really isn't that big of a deal. But these guys wanted to lust the second phase, so I was okay with that. But anyways, in this first phase, the boss is going to do a bleed on the tank, while the other guy is going to be shadow bolting your party members. Now, typically he shadow bolts the same target twice, so your healer has to be paying attention. You have to be pretty quick. The other mechanic is his throw glaive there. As you can see, it's just going back and forth in one position. It will not go anywhere else. It goes between where his target is and the wall. That's it. So aim if you get it really close to the wall, you just move them away, and that's the game. You don't have to worry about it anymore. So it will disappear in the next phase as well. So as you can see, comes down and takes his soul or whatever, makes himself super powerful and becomes a dreadlord. And this is where you want to pay attention. So this first phase, you are going to be taking a lot of damage from the first shadow volley because you do not have the health damage healing buff yet. So right here, you want to use a wall or anything big. As you can see, it does a significant amount of damage. And here we get our buff. And then the stinging swarm goes out. Basically, if this is on you, get in melee, let them help you kill it, because it's going to be stunning you every 0.2 seconds or something. It's very, very annoying. Other than that, there are sleep puddles on the ground, and then there's this Dreadlord's Guile. Um, it's, as you can tell, it spawns laser beams and moves around and rotates. So you have to watch for the sleep puddles and watch for this at the same time. Other than that, that is all the mechanics of this boss. Um, Basically, the biggest outlier here is going to be the Shadow Volley and the Stinging Swarm. Make sure you kill that Stinging Swarm as fast as possible. It does a lot of damage, and especially mixed with the Shadow Volley, it does not help. So, the Shadow Volley does put a dot on you, and he keeps it up 24/7. So you have to be very, very careful with this. If you have any percentage HP healing, it is bugged in this fight, so go ahead and use it. Um, Basically, if you're a Death Knight and you can Death Strike, it heals you to full no matter what. Even if you haven't taken any damage, it will heal you to full. It's ridiculous. But that is it for the key. Um, Hopefully you enjoyed the video. Hopefully this helped in any way. Uh, Other than that, we will have another one next week. Hopefully, a higher key, maybe 22 or something. We'll see. But yeah, thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Later.